Hello guys, and welcome to the second session of web design. So in this session, I will show you what we will build in the next 3 sessions or so. So we are building a website, and I have a website that is open here, and I want to show you guys what we will do. So the website I have open here is the website for Took, and you can see there's a header above here with some buttons that are functioning here. And then we will have a body. You can see all this is body. And down here we have a footer. Copyright, it's 2021, the Technical University of Kenya. Site developed and maintained by DICTS. So that is a footer. So we will develop a website. I have a website pre-made right here. So this is the kind of a website we will make. This is the kind of interface we will make. And we will use our HTML and CSS to make this website. Because this is not complete. You realize it is not complete, but we will do this in the, there's a bit of programming that I want you guys to cram and understand so that you can get here, because this is just the beginning. These are beginner's tutorial. So we will make a dashboard. When I click home button, we will make a dashboard. And then you realize from a real website, if I click home, it will bring me to this page. If I click library, it will bring me to another page. You can see it is loading another tab here. So we will do the same. You can see now this is the website, this is the page for library. So when you come back to home, I can also click student photo and it will open a new tab again. You can see the way it is opening these tabs, and this tab looks different. So the idea here in my website is to allow you to create those buttons on the header. These buttons here, we can see there's a home button. When I click home button, there's a dashboard with 5 categories here, and then a footer. Okay, so this is my body. I have not added a lot in my body. I have not even done styling a lot. Just a little styling on CSS. And then when I open admin, you can see that is manage admin. Again, that body part is empty. And then category, that is manage category. And then food, manage food. And then order, manage order. So we will add this part of the body later. But for now, I just want to teach you how you can make these simple template and how you can style up this template up to here, so that these buttons can have some functionalities in them. Okay, so just like a real website looks like. So we will, when you click here, this is a page. When I click library, it opens this page here, which has been styled up its own way. When you click student's photo, it brings this page, which again has been styled in its own way. So this is the idea. We will style home its own way. We will style the admin panel its own way. We will style category its own way. The same case for food and then order. So I just opened this website so that you can see what we will make. So in my website, again, I told you guys I made this website just for you guys to be able to understand what we will do. So if you feel like this is something you can do, perhaps you may want to join us later as we do styling up and adding more functionalities like database. But you feel you cannot get here, you may want to flow with me as I go on. So this website, I did it in this text editor here called Visual Studio. So these are the codes I have, but we will not use the Visual Studio. We will build these codes in another text editor, Atom, the one I recommended for you guys. So before we start even building this website, I would love to mention a few things. There is heavy programming in web development, especially HTMLs and CSS and databases and so on and so forth. So for now, I will just connect to this folder called, or I can just create a new folder here, and I will call this folder test. Let me just call it test, and I will connect to that folder by just adding the folder here. So once I add my folder, in this folder I will make a new file. I will call this file index.php. And then it will open. You realize when I open it, I have index.php as a file here. So in this index.php, we will use a basic HTML to write our code. So when I type HTML and I hit enter, you can see that skeleton there. So this is the skeleton we will use, the HTML. We will write our HTMLs, but you remember our PHP is a PHP environment. So when we write PHP codes, we will use we will use some PHP functions there, and I will show you guys how you can put them into our HTML. So these are the first thing you should have. This is the first code you should have. You should have these skeleton. So you have a place where you can do your head, and then you have a place where you can do your body, and then you can close that HTML down here. So you realize everything you open, like you can see the header is open, it has been closed. And there's a way of closing it by just typing that backslash. The same case for body, and then you can see the way that body closes. So if you write a body, you just type in between here. If you write a head, you just type in between this head function here. So that is something you should master before we start. But don't worry, I will try and keep this coding very basic so that we don't go deep into programming. Maybe you have never done PHP before, maybe you have never done HTML or CSS. I will just try and make it very basic for you guys to understand. So the first thing I will do, let me call this site test. Let me just call it test site. Okay, so this is the title. So if I save that file and I go back to my browser, this time let me open a new tab here. Let me type localhost. This is the way you will be typing when you want to see how your website is building. So just type localhost / the folder name. You remember our folder was test. And then inside that folder, we want to run something called index.php. That is the file we want to run. So if I hit enter, you realize our page is blank. It does not have anything yet. And you can see now the title here is test site. Just the way we named it in our text editor. So we call it test site. So before we do anything, I would love to introduce something for you to be able to write PHP the way I did in my website here. You realize there's some header, and then there's some body, and then there's some footer. So I would advise you guys to separate the code for the header, the code for the body, and then the code for the footer. But we will do that in later parts. What you are seeing right now is just the index.php. I can create a new file and call it header.php. You can also create a new file and call it footer.php. Then I hit enter. So you realize all the three will be inside our test. So what I do in my index.php, I can split this code into three so that I can leave body in index, and then the head part I can dissolve it here in the head. I can move it in the head, and then the footer part I can just move it in the footer.php. So we will not do that now. We will do that later. Okay. So for now, I just want to introduce something that will help you catch up with coding. Maybe you have never done HTMLs before. I would love to introduce the concept of forms because for us to be able to create a website, sometimes we may need a login system, which will need user input. So we use forms in this case, and forms are also useful because they help us get the user input. So how you create a form, you just come to the body and type form. So once in the body and you type form, I would advise you guys to keep opening and closing these forms. Once you open a form, ensure you close it before you proceed so that you don't forget. Okay, so when I hit enter, I have closed that form. So I can now come inside this form and start putting my inputs here. So I can put input type. This is just the normal HTML. So type, I will just, if you look at this website, the one I did right here, I have not included a button for maybe login, for sign in or register, something like that. I have not included it here in my header. So if I was to have that button, that is when I would need that form. But for now, I just want to introduce it so that you guys can catch up with the PHP and HTML programming. So what I will do here, I will just type and then explain. So input type text, and then so there I have typed something. Type is text, and then the name is equals to username. So it is good to include the equal sign. So this one is double, so we do that. So what this will do, the input, this form will take an input of type text, and then this is the name we will use to indicate what the text is this. So this text is a username. So this is important when you want to call, maybe you want to print, or you want to get what the user has inputted in their form. If you want to call that, you use this name right here. So then we have another input type called submit. So this one will create a submit button. So once you have typed that text, and then you will have a submit button. So let me run this so that you can see better how it creates, how it is building up in my test site. So let me refresh, and you can see it has created some checkbox here, some box here, and then there's a button called submit there. So you can now start seeing how that form is appearing. Okay, so you see these type text. So if I want to type in my site, it will take texts. Okay, there are some suggestions there that are drawn because I have worked in this interface for long. So it will take texts only. So if you try and type numbers, it will throw an error because you specified your type as a text. And then the name will be the username. So this one you can play around with the name as long as you use the same name to call it when you need it. It does not have a problem. So the input type submit is that submit button. So we have another input type called checkbox. You can have input type checkbox, which will work. We will look at that checkbox later. So for now, I will just love to introduce you to some of these things you are seeing here. So this another thing called a break. If I type BR, that is called a break, and you can see how this one is coming. There's a box here, checkbox. There's a box here which I can type my text, and then submit is following. So if I want it to like move in to create a break, I can do that by creating that BR. So if I save, you realize, and I refresh my page here, you realize that button moves down. So that break is used to move the buttons, to move text, to move something to the next line if you want to move to the next line. The other input type I would love us to look at is called checkbox. So I'll just come here and type input type equals to checkbox. So in checkbox, we have the same syntax, name. Maybe this one I want to have fruits. Let's say I want to have some array of fruits. Okay, and then we will have a value. Maybe that array will have a value, maybe orange. Maybe I want that fruit to be an orange. Okay, so what I will do, I just come and copy all this and I paste right there. Maybe I want 3 fruits, so I can change this from orange to mango, and then I can change this one to maybe which other fruit do we have? I can change this one to pineapple. Okay, so this one will be a checkbox. So if I save my work, I come right here to my site and I refresh. You realize you have 3 checkboxes, and I want to put them some break so that they don't appear in the same line. So let me put a break here. Let me also put a break here. Let me also put a break here. And then I can also create another input type submit. So input type is equals to submit button. So let me add that submit button right there. So I will save and will come and refresh my page. And you can see now these are checkbox that do not move to the next line. So I will just come and create that break here. And I will save, sorry. So I will save that. So let me refresh. Yeah. So you can see there's a place I can add a text here and then I can submit that text. These boxes are check boxes because you can tick them. You can see they are ticking. So there are 3 things that I will tick. So there's something else that I would love to mention. I can do something here. I can add this type text. What is it? Maybe I want the user to know that I need a name. Okay, so I can use name, and then this one I can, okay, let us see how that one changes. So let me refresh. You can see it brings a name, and then it can give you that place where you can put your text for the name. So I will do the same here for oranges, mangoes, and pineapples. Okay, so there we have it. So you can see I have added orange, mango, and pineapple. So I will save and come back to my browser. And I will refresh. So once I refresh, you realize there were no colons here, so I added colons. So once I refresh, you can see now is orange. I can check mango. I can check pineapple. I can check. Then I can submit what I have checked to my database. Remember, a form, when you fill in a form, that data will go to a database. So that is why we will talk about database at some point, because these forms, once we submit them, they go to a database. So that is a form, and that is the syntax of a form. You realize now this one we added value here. This one did not have value. This value is just the same as the name. The only difference here, we used the value to indicate that the value of this fruit here is an orange. So you realize I gave the name as a fruit, and I also gave the second one as a fruit, and that one is a fruit. So all of them are fruits. So this is an array. That is why I have a square box brackets. And then we have the second one as a value mango, because it is also a fruit, but it has some unique value mango. So that is how I did it. There's no problem if you just copy what I did here. You will understand better how we do forms. Okay? So basically, what you want in your form is what you type in this form. Okay? So if you want an input type text, if you want an input type number, if you want an input type checkbox, you just type it and then you give the name. And if you want an array, you can give a value somewhere there. And that is how you create some breaks if you need them. You don't really need them sometimes. Okay, so a form is used to take the input of a user. So this one will come in handy when you want to do some register, if you want the customer to register, if you want the one who is coming to your website to create a portal or something like that. Okay, so the next thing I will talk about is this site right here. So if you realize, let me open the one I predid. You realize that that the header right here has some gray buttons right here. So not 3, these are 5. How do you make these 5, and what are they? Are they checkboxes or what? So maybe you don't know. So I will teach you guys how to make these by, we will not style it for now because we will not do CSS. We will just make them so they will appear this way. And maybe before I can show you that, let us do some splitting of this index file so that I can show you guys how you can call a code that is in site.php to my index.php, or a code that is in header.php to my index.php. Okay, so we will split this one. So what I will do, I will just pick this first part from here. I will copy everything up to body. Okay, so let me just control X so that I cut it and I paste it as my header. Okay, so I have separated it. I have removed it from here and I have brought it here. So I can just type here. So here I will add a PHP code which will help me include this header.php. So I will just type include, and then I can use the brackets right there, and then that file is called header.php. So this one will call, the code will call header first before it can run the other things. So that part we separated. It is separate, yes, but just by writing this function, we can just call it. So this one helps to simplify the length of the code, and again, for the purpose of neatness. Because you realize in my website here, this one, I will have the same I will have the same, you realize that the header will remain the same every time I click, whether in home, whether in admin, whether in category. Sometimes you may not have the same header, sometimes you may not have the same footer. So for you to be able to edit uh, as you navigate around these buttons, for you to be able to edit, it is good to separate them. Okay, so I have typed include header.php and realize this is a PHP code. And because PHP is a bucket language, if I want to type a PHP function, I use this, some kind of that arrow there, and then question mark PHP, and then I close using the question mark and that arrow right there. So that is how I type a PHP code in my HTML. So these are PHP code, include header.php, and I want to the compiler to recognize this is a PHP code. So that is why I typed it in those. That is how we do it, by the way, in those in that syntax. Okay, so in my header now, I can come here in my header and now add these buttons because they are now in the header. So I'll just come to my header, I add these buttons. So how do you add these buttons in the header now? So I will just copy a code I had written for the purpose of saving time and paste it here. Sorry, this is not the code. So let me copy the correct code and paste it there. So what this code does, let me do some little bit of changes here. Okay, so this one is called an anchor tag. So this anchor tag, you realize it is something I just opened here and closed here. And inside I have written some anchor tag with a h reference index.php, and then the other reference is going to manage admin.php. For now, I don't have this created yet, so I'll just use hash. I'll just use hash, but we will create them. I will use hash for now, for you guys to be able to understand why we have to write that and why we have to write it there. So index.php is my home page. Okay, so if anybody comes to index.php, right now I'm in header.php. So if anybody comes to index.php, the code I have right here is the one that will appear in my home page. So when I open my home page right here, whatever code I have is what will appear. Okay, so if I have, let me go back to my header. If I have admin panel, the code I will have to write that admin.php here is a file, and then I can add that file here, admin.php, so that when I click admin panel, admin.php with its code will open that page. Okay, so for the purpose of this part of tutorial, I will just love to stick at this home, admin, category, food, and order. Let me just stick to those so that you guys can be able to understand that this is the home button I'm creating, this is an admin button I'm creating, a category button I'm creating, a food button, and an order button right there. So the way I create these is by just typing this code. right here. So I told you guys this is an anchor tag. I just copy pasted it because I don't want you guys to have a lot of trouble with coding because I'm not sure you guys are comfortable with these codes yet. So this is how you do an anchor tag, and that is how you create those buttons right there. So let me save my work so that I can see if it will input anything. So let me save, and then I can go to my page and try and refresh. Okay, there we have it. So it has created home, admin, category, food, and order. But you realize they are not styled up horizontally. That is because you don't have CSS yet. So when CSS is ready, it will style up things. So in the next part, we will look at how we will work on this home panel, and we will be working on divisions. So we will do division. Okay, so we will do a little bit of divisions. And these divisions, we will just do them in this index.php. So in our header.php, our home is index.php here. So we will have another one, admin.php, and we will add it here once we are done deciding what we will put in the admin panel. So that is how we split things out. Let me also split the footer. I can split that part to be my footer. I just control X, and then I control V there. I copy and paste it there, and then I can control S. I come back to my index, and I just type here the way I typed this include here. So I just copy that and paste it here, but I will edit this and call it footer.php. So what we have done basically, we have just splitted this index so that whatever that is inside here is what will be relevant when I click this home button, because index represents home. So when I click home button, whatever I'm seeing here will be the code that will be here right now. So if I click admin, we will create another one called admin, and we will style up its own way. So this is kind of to give you some introduction. I don't know whether I'm doing it the right way because you guys have not done PHP, HTML maybe, but if you feel like we need to first of all cover HTML and PHP, perhaps you can comment out, and then we will see what we can do. Okay, so let me now let me close this one. So let me run now. We have index, header, and footer. So let me now run. I can see all of them are saved. Let me run and see how my website is building. So there we have it. And you can see now home is having a different color from admin and category and food, because home is the only one that we are working on right now. So once we start working on admin, it will start it will highlight it as well, and it will start having some functionalities as well. So right now what we have in home is this form. Okay, this form we created here, this form right here is what we have in our home index.php. Okay, so that is it for this part of tutorial. So if you guys have any questions, suggestions, drop them in my inbox so that we can see how we will do this course in a better way. Okay, so for now I would love to stop it at that point.